Welcome to our bonus podcast. I'm Kristal, the pastor of women here at Northview, and I have a few guests around the table with me today who we are going to introduce. First, say hi to Thaleia.
Hi.
She is our pastor of care here at Northview. And then I'll have each of you introduce yourselves and say why you're here, what your role is, what brought you here, why we invited you.
All right. My name is Ron Friesen. I'm the high school pastor. I'll oversee a number of ministries, middle school, high school, and college or young adults, and then hands-on in the high school.
Next.
I'm Luke. I am Ron's son. And I'm in charge.
That's your only identity.
That's why you got invited along.
Yeah.
Along with Dad.
It was actually take your kid to work day.
And he never left.
Yeah, and I'm one of the ministry assistants and in charge of the campus live nights.
Which we'll describe as we go along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That will not be foreign word to
No.
you in a few minutes. Okay. And then?
All right, my name is Colin. I am not Ron's son,
No.
but I am in charge of specifically the community groups that we'll talk about later.
And you're a ministry
Assistant
as
well.
That's a new term.
Yes, we're still getting used to the terms. Yeah.
And I'm Analea. I'm also a ministry assistant, specifically in charge of the core groups at high school and the representative female voice in the youth department.
Excellent. Good to have those.
Yeah.
We wanted to invite all of these guys to join us because the youth has kind of undergone some just shifts in emphasis and focus and people a lot since last year. And so we just wanted to kind of let everybody who's listening know what's going on at the youth program here and why some of the changes have been made and kind of how the structure works. So first of all, we thought we'd just start with you, Ron. Mm-hmm. How did you come to be in this role?
Yeah, well, briefly, I've been involved at Northview since 1999, was a pastor here, oversaw all youth ministry, middle school, high school, and at that time college, now young adults, and then hands-on in the college ministry, and was on staff here 99 to 2005, and then left and began teaching at Columbia Bible College, 05, but was always involved here at Northview, and the last 2 years have been an elder. And then over the course of time, as our church has grown into not just one campus, but another campus in Mission, so one church, two campuses, I started helping out in the youth ministry there. In Mission. Mm-hmm. And so that probably started in January, February. And then as that ministry began to grow, we had some shifting of pastors, which meant that the high school pastor, Kyle, was moving into another role here at our Abbotsford campus. And Jeff and Steve asked if I would head up the high school ministry, hands-on in the high school ministry, but oversee middle school, high school, and the young adults. And from there we'll go. So that started probably May 1. Mm-hmm. So over the summer, kind of jumped right in with both feet and started to see how this would all look for the fall startup, obviously. But so working with these awesome people beside me here and trying to get our youth ministry rolling and going for the fall. So
and you're still at CBC?
Still teaching. This is it's kind of a dual hat here. So I teach as well as and then full-time at CBC and then part-time here at Northview. So still trying to figure out what that means, but we're going with that anyway.
Yeah. And it'll settle in. September is always everybody's working overtime everywhere, and so hopefully you'll get a routine, right?
Yeah.
As things go.
So very excited about the opportunity, obviously. I love youth ministry. It's been where my heart has been for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And
years and years. I heard you had a birthday.
Yes, yeah.
Happy birthday.
So another decade blows by. Outside of that, I mean, this has been our home church where our family's grown up, and so I consider it a privilege to walk alongside great staff, great elders, great church, and to be involved in youth ministry. So, yeah. That's
cool. Why don't you describe the overall structure of the high school youth just in terms of events and like what a typical month would look like? And I know each of you guys are in charge of different parts of that. So, Luke, did you want to start off talking about the campus live nights?
We used to call them just live nights, now they're campus live nights because we wanted all of our groups to start with the letter C.
True pastoral Protestant appreciation.
And the
3 points.
That's where it started.
So we do them twice a month. the first and fourth Thursday of the month, and it's where everyone gathers in one big group, do some games, worship through song, and we go into our small groups, and someone will do a talk. It's a good time.
Where would parents drop their kids off?
They drop their kids off at West Court.
Okay. So it's new venues.
Yeah, right outside the courtyard.
Have you had the doors open yet for evening?
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, we already got an email saying not to lean on the doors.
The poor youth department, they just get vilified for everything that goes wrong at the church. It's those youth. They wrecked it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't smell in there anymore.
No,
so that's awesome. That's definitely a bonus. Well, eventually.
So how full is that room on a Thursday night?
Right now we're about 150.
Okay.
So about 25 leaders, and the rest are teenagers from 9 to 12.
Grade 9 to 12.
Yeah.
Not age.
Not age.
And I know Andrew's not here, but how would a campus night look in Mission?
His nights look very similar to ours, except without the small group at the end.
Yeah.
They don't do as much as that.
Well, they have middle school meets on Tuesday, high school meets on Thursday as well. So they run the same nights, and I think they meet. They meet three Thursdays a month, and then they break off into a home group, somewhat grade specific as well. So.
And some of their practical differences in setup are just because they haven't had as many volunteers, right? To run the different small group discussions. And so that might change over time too as they get more people.
With more volunteers. And I think as ministry moves on, it will also increase as well. And just trying to find that leveling spot of how many students in each grade and how you break them up and things like that. Yeah.
So is there a Checkers candy stash supply like in middle school youth for high schoolers or not?
Sort of the same.
Yeah.
No candy, but we still have slushies. We still have other goodies though. So Analea usually makes cookies. We have been having mini donuts lately, which so good. There's some with like sugar and cinnamon. Other ones are powder. I want to get a chocolate one in there. I'm working on that.
Jeff was trying them up in the kitchen, like upstairs in our staff kitchen, and he was hogging the whole plate himself. He was excited. He did.
It was
we need somebody donut like taste testing.
I got a little piece. I tasted a little bit like a churro, the one I had. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay, community groups, Colin. What can people expect at a community group?
Yeah, community groups they're definitely different than our campus live nights in that they're grade specific, and they all meet at a host home. So the grade 9s will meet at one house, and the grade 10s will meet at another. And obviously grade 11 and 12, they all meet at different houses by parents whose kids are in the youth group, and they've offered up their homes to us.
Very brave
and
parents.
So,
very generous.
We're always a little hesitant, especially with some kids specifically. You never know what's going to happen, but I think all the parents kind of already know that that's a fair warning that they're bringing 20 to 50 high school kids into their houses. You never actually know what's going to happen. So, the nights are structured pretty well the same every month. It's always on the second Thursday of the month. And then usually you'll start off just spending time getting to reconnect with your friends, reconnecting leaders to students, and just catching up. And then usually go into like a icebreaker kind of game so new students can feel more welcomed, and then going into teaching and sharing testimonies, or after that prayer activities, breaking into small groups. I mean, the nice thing about community groups is that they have more flexibility in that they're led by a smaller group of leaders, and so there's more opportunity for those leaders to kind of take control of the night,
customize it a little bit,
and customize it based on what works best for their group. And they'll all still be getting the same content to teach and go through each week. They've got this, just this level of control that they don't necessarily have on a campus live night, because those are obviously more designed and run by us specifically.
More like a service. But they would do, like when you do series, would be the same teaching kind of along that same line that would happen in the community group? Okay.
Yeah, for instance, now we're on in the name of God, so we're doing the names of God. And so we started that last week. We'll do another one this coming Thursday, and then we break into community groups and core groups for the similar studies on the name of God.
Like the same
Yep.
series.
neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Analea, what can you tell us about core?
Core groups are new for us this year. We've only usually done the Campus Live and community groups. So we are starting core groups. They're groups of gender, 6 to 9 students with a leader or 2. And they will follow the same teaching pattern, but their focus is going to be a lot more practical application and lots of discussion with the leader and their students. There can be games involved in that, snacks involved in those nights. Those are also meeting at homes, either the leader's home or one of the students' homes in those groups. And again, with the community groups, there's a lot of flexibility with those nights as well. I think one of the things we're really excited about with the core groups is that we're giving the leaders a lot of responsibility and also connecting with those 6 to 9 students. We know that through core groups, every student in our youth group is going to be really closely connected with a leader. And that leader, and then other peers. And that leader we know is connecting with those 6 to 9 kids every week. And that's their responsibility. Either it's just a text or a Facebook message or a phone call every week that we know that they're being talked to at youth nights, the campus nights, the community nights, and then at those core nights intentionally.
So those people that are the core group leaders are also there at community nights and also at live nights too, right? So that they have that continuity of leadership. Even though it's a larger group, there's those same leaders are there. Yeah.
So they're the small group, and then they expand to the community group, and then the large group nights. So it gives our leaders a little bit more direction as well to who to make sure they're making connections with, and
know who to talk to in the big night. Yeah, so they don't lose sight of that. That's good. So if you think, this is just kind of a general question, by the time a kid leaves grade 12 and goes off to university, what are you hoping, kind of what tools do you hope they have? What has been their experience of church? What would you like them to kind of leave youth with at the end of 4 years?
Well, I think what we want to accomplish, obviously, is our mission is the same as Northview Community Church. We love God, serve God, love one another, you know. So in there, we've envisioned what we want to see happen to our students, and from there we have structured, you know, several core values that we want to, and a core value is that non-negotiable. What do we want our students to experience from grade 9 through grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, and so that it does anchor them. I mean, obviously, the end result is that students should move from their parents' and church's faith to their own faith. And for some, it's a gradual movement. Others, it could be even delayed even more. You know, I mean, there's no one size fits all here. But the idea is that our students would learn to own their own faith. So I mean, obviously, a core value, I mean, is to teach the Word. I mean, we want to teach the Word on a regular basis, from week to week, from our campus nights to our community nights to our core groups. All of those things, you know, we teach the Word, and we also value relationships, and that's one of the things that we see all the way through this, as Analea was speaking about, is that we move from the large group to this one. We want to break it down every time, just so that students know that so much of this in a high school students' world is lived by example. And our leaders, you know, the 4 of us to every one of our volunteers, we say, you are a leader, you are an example to our students, how to live your faith and own your own faith. And that's something that, you know, obviously a student isn't going to necessarily experience at this moment in time, but over the course of time. And that's why it's so crucial that there's consistency and that there's this sense of ownership. So we want our students to experience missions. We want our students to experience, you know, service and all that kind of thing. And they want to experience it with their leaders, right? Because this is how we do it, you know. And so from the teaching to the sharing to the fellowship to all of that, to understanding the importance of prayer, to understanding the importance of serving together, and all of those things, they all kind of, you know, move together, and they overlap, and there are some moments that are stronger than others, but that's the way it is. So we're very excited about that whole understanding of how we want our leaders to be involved, because it's crucial.
I know the power of having good relationships in church is so important, and I know for myself, as I went from high school to university, it was really the people that I knew were invested in me in the church that kept me coming back to church when I was encountering all kinds of questions that were making me question my faith. It was like, oh, but I don't want to disappoint those people, or I know they care about me.
Absolutely.
And so I think having those relationships that can carry on into those young adult years when you might have more turbulent times are important.
And I mean, transition is difficult at the best of times, you know. from middle school to high school to young adult world. Those are fairly epic transitions for anyone, and those are at times very silent transitions because you're not sure where everything is going to land.
Yeah.
And so if you have more voices of those who are involved in your life, spiritually speaking, and are committed to you, those voices are pretty powerful. And
So what would you say are your current, what's making you excited about the program? Open it up to all of you guys.
Yeah.
I think I'm most excited about the core groups that are going to be starting up in November. It's something new. We haven't done it before. It's just going to be exciting to see how all of the leaders kind of take hold of their group and the relationships that form through those. And man, I'm just really excited to see our leaders connect with their students. So in such an intimate group.
Yeah.
I think along those lines, I'm excited about the leadership team that God's given us this year.
Yeah.
Like we've expanded, we've got, I think there's 12 or more new leaders.
Wow.
And they're amazing, like really cool to see who God's brought in here, and we're excited. They're passionate, they're excited. And
So 12 new, how many in total?
I think we have
25.
25 or 27 now, actually.
Yeah,
27 now?
And
Yeah.
what's your aim per grade?
We have 7 in each grade,
Yeah, we want around.
including ourselves.
We would love around 8.
Okay.
Yep.
So just quickly then, are each of you in charge of a grade? Like you said, including yourselves. So Colin, you're grade.
I'm in grade 10.
Yeah. And Luke.
Grade 12.
Yeah.
In grade 11,
Okay.
And then we have Matt
Crocker.
Okay.
he's an intern here.
Great.
He is going to be leading the grade 9s.
Which is great because he's been involved with junior
Yeah.
youth
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
as
He was with
volunteer
them
right
in
before.
grade 8, so
Yeah.
it's great
Perfect.
that he
Yeah,
came
that
Oh,
out
that's
to
really
us.
good.
That's so great.
And he wants
Yeah.
to teach, so it works
Yeah.
out well for both of us.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else? Challenging? Exciting?
Well, I think also from the campus live nights right through the core, I want our students to own this group. I think probably one of the things we noticed right away is on our retreat, just being away a couple weekends ago down in Bellingham at Camp Furwood there. And you just noticed somewhat of a cohesiveness happen between leaders and students. And all of a sudden you've got memories, you've got stories, you've got time spent. Anytime you spend more than 24 hours with a student, you get to know them and hear them and all those kind of things. So I think what needs to happen for a youth ministry to be successful is there has to be that ownership. Where students say, this is my youth group. And I think that happens when students and leaders start bonding, and making that happen. And that happens on every level, So I like it. Campus, community core, and it should flow.
3 C's.
Yep. 3 C's.
Yeah, which leads into some of our other questions. What do you say to parents whose kids don't come to Northview Youth at all? They see this kind of big unknown. They don't know how to enter that door. What would you say to encourage them?
Well, I think we're a large church, and so I think there's sometimes an expectation that everything is just going to flow. I think sometimes in smaller churches, you are missed. If you're not there, you are missed. Like, why weren't we, So in our church, that's not necessarily the case. And so even if you have 125 students, you say, well, that's pretty cool. But I always feel like that there's more there that should be there because this is our youth ministry. So I think in a larger church, one of the hurdles is that this machine just keeps on going, but yet this is relationship. This is about one student at a time. It's not about a mega load here. This is about one student at a time having a relationship with a leader. So I get it that sometimes parents are figuring, how do I get my kid to come to this? And I've had numerous conversations too. They want their kids to come, and I think there's always ways. You can't, starting with a youth group, you got to be there for, I say, minimum 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Minimum 6 weeks. You got to give it 6 weeks a run. So if you can convince your son or daughter, say, hey, give this 6 weeks. Let's evaluate after 6 weeks. Make a deal. Make a deal. But I know that some parents, should I make them? They do come to church or whatever, that's fine. But there's something about being involved in a youth group and making those memories and then walking with those students through through life and experiences, and especially if you can move that all the way through grade 12, there's some tremendous relationships that are formed.
Yeah.
And I think it's a life skill for all of us to develop, to know that we can't just walk into a group once and feel at home
No.
and be okay with that. Because when your kid goes off to university, they're going to find, well, it takes like 2 months to get to know someone
Totally
in the
right.
dorm.
Yeah.
And they need to know that's normal, right? Like
Yeah.
you just have to put your time in with people
Yeah.
and build kind of shared memories and all these kind of things. And
Totally
that's
right.
what's going to build relationship. Because if we expect it to happen instantly and it doesn't,
Yeah.
then we get disappointed and we pull away
Very
from
true.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
So
I
talk
think
a
it's
little
life
bit
skill.
about the difference between middle school atmosphere and high school atmosphere, because I have a lot of parents that say, oh, my kids didn't connect at middle school, so they don't even want to try at high school. So talk a little bit about that to the parents that might have that kind of concern.
Yeah, well, I interned last year with middle school, and I interned with middle school and high school, so I got to see the contrast quite prevalent. It was really interesting because middle school is so intense. It's
High energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Loud noises, a lot of fun, as some of the kids would say it, or for some kids who have matured, it's just too middle school, as they would say, even now, though they're in middle school.
Yeah.
So it is quite the difference. High school is it would be more mellow, but not in like a boring way. It's still hyperactive. Like there's still a lot of stuff going on. It still gets crazy quite a bit. So it still has that middle school feel, but we dig down deeper into smaller groups more often, and we really the leader kid relationship really blooms more I would say in high school than middle school, because the kids are really looking towards that relationship with someone older and actually just sitting down there to talk. And like I'll talk to kids who'd rather be like, do you want to play a game? Nah, I'll just sit and talk. I'm like, okay, cool. And then there'll be all those other kids who want to play. But whereas you go to middle school and all the kids are like, no, I don't want to sit and talk with you, I want to play.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And you do see kids change, or some kids who love middle school come to high school. I remember one kid even came up to me. He is in grade 9 now, and he's just like, Luke, where's the fun? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, where's the foosball? Where's the air hockey? Where's the fun?
Where's the spam building?
Yeah. And I'm like, there's fun. Just wait. And so it might take a little used to for grade 9s.
Yeah.
Might be better, might be worse.
Yeah, and I think girls mature quicker in middle school.
Yeah.
They're a little more done with this.
Yeah.
Boys, they can carry on into grade 9 and 10.
Yes.
And feel like
Silly,
this is
yeah.
totally good.
Yeah.
You know?
I still have some grade 12s like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's usually that's where the girls peak a whole lot faster, and they're kind of done with some of that.
Yeah.
And so they're much more ready for the
want
high
to
school
dive
experience.
in. And, yeah.
Boys,
Yeah.
not they're wired a little differently, of course. And and so we seek to make the change, though. We are not there to pretend that we're going to actually imitate middle school.
No.
Just so we can keep them. I mean, this is part of that maturing process.
Yeah.
And it's different. And so, but we want to say, the main thing is the main thing. I want to attract students because of the relationship, not because of the fun. Fun is an ingredient and important. We want kids to laugh. We want kids to have fun. But if that's what you attract your students with is the fun, that's all that they will be there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
As
you
soon
can
as you-
attract them
yeah.
with the fun to build a relationship, well, then you're onto something.
Yeah.
And that's that next push.
Yeah.
So.
So what about kids that come only to the campus lives or only to the community? Do you have community groups? Do you have kids that kind of are like, this is my thing, but I don't want to do the other thing?
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Like, what are they missing if they kind of stick with one or the other?
I think for the kids who only come to the community groups, they're missing out on like getting to know like the larger group.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people with so many unique stories in this group that come on live nights, community or campus live nights, that they only get to know like this certain group, and there's just so much potential that gets missed out on, as well as on campus live nights. Like it's a lot more intentional, almost preaching kind of style, and I think there's a big difference between that and the kind of teaching that happens on community nights, and that'll happen on core group nights. And they're just so different. It's hard to say that one is better and one is worse because they all offer such individual things, and
Yeah.
it's just a little unfortunate when someone says, well, I just don't like or I can't connect in this one because there's so much that they could get out of it.
My kids have been really sad when they've seen kids only come to the community groups, like their grade groups, and not come to the campus live nights because they want to see those friends every week, not just once or twice a month.
Yeah.
So I've been encouraging them, tell your friends, come to all the weeks, then you can see them every week. For sure, Thursday night is your youth night. And so I don't know if it's making a difference, but we'll hope. We're working on it.
Yeah, and that's where I think that we're hoping the accountability with leadership also kicks in.
Yeah.
Because we do want our leaders to say, great, I'm glad you're here at community, but, hey, I'm going to look for you at campus night as well.
Yeah,
you know? So we're hoping that understanding too, that there's going to be this free flow of great leadership interaction and contact all the way through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have told people who say their kids are really shy to start maybe with a community group because it is a smaller, if the big group is overwhelming, but to hopefully eventually, move to that place where once you know 10 or 12 people, then it's easier to walk into the big group because as long as you know a few, it's not all new faces, right?
So I have a question for you guys too. What do you say to parents if their teen is really struggling with something? Because we know that there are teens that come to your groups that are struggling with significant, anxiety, depression. They're involved in sex or alcohol, or like Kristal said, super shy, like really have trouble relating to kids. How would we talk to parents like that who are thinking, "Oh, my kid's really struggling"?
Is there a place for kids that are struggling?
Yeah, and what do we? How do we kind of help them?
Well, that's a good question because, I think sometimes the perception is that everyone who comes to let's say the campus live nights is fully engaged, 100%, knows everyone. But if you would take a walk around, we've run now a couple of them, there are many kids who are still, you can see that they're on the edge there because they don't want to necessarily jump right in, they'll sit in the corners and again, that kind of thing or whatever, just, very, very shy. Is this for me? And all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I just say that's awesome because the more they're there, the more they're going to love this place. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
My encouragement to parents is that we have all different types of students
yes,
there. There's not one student that's no, they're all different. Mm-hmm. They've all got needs. They've all got struggles. They're all in this place where we say, hey, this is why we come. Jesus himself said, I came because this is sort of like a hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm come for the sick and the needy.
Yeah.
And we're all sick and needy. And so we need each other. And I think that's where if students can come and know that they're accepted, bumps and warts and all, it's there. And we want to present that.
Yeah.
We accept students just the way they are.
Well, and I think parents might be surprised to learn that in your youth group, you have kids that are foster kids that are adopted. You have kids that are homeschooled and doing virtual school and private school and traditional and you name it. You have kids with every different personality, every different height, every different everything.
Yep.
Like it's
sporty
a mixed
and
bag.
non-sporty and musical and
Yeah.
Very true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is a very good cross section of what Abbotsford really is.
Yeah.
And mission, both they come from all various places.
And I think a good, I know my daughter Jessica's been in Luke's group all the way along, and she's come home just laughing sometimes about the range of people in your group is just hilarious. There's a guy that speaks Elvish in your group, and there's all these different
there's a few that speak Elvish.
Yeah, and she just thinks it's hilarious that she's kind of in this group with people that are very different from her, but yet they're doing life together somehow, and it's just fun. And I think it's a microcosm of what we are as a church. We're not all cookie cutters of each other, right? Mm-hmm. But we want to still do life and love each other and care for each other, and so it's good. Variety is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So someone who wants to volunteer, I know you said you have lots of volunteers already this year, but what if you have people that kind of have a heart for youth ministry? What would you say to them? What kind of criteria, what would you be looking for?
Go for it, Analea.
I think one of the biggest thing, just practically speaking, is time. It's every week there's a time commitment of either the live night or the community group. Sometimes there's a little bit of prep for teaching in that. And so that's a big thing. You've got to have the time. And then the other big thing is the heart to do it.
Yeah.
Youth are not easy. High schoolers aren't always easy. So you've got to want to be in that ministry, and you got to want to just kind of plug away long term with these kids and build relationships. Like you said, Luke's been your daughter's leader for years. So it's something that doesn't just happen for 1 year, you can stay in it longer and build relationships that last.
Because I think your kind of intention is that the grade 9 leaders work up with them, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, right? And then hopefully start back again.
Yeah, that's the ideal.
Okay.
Yeah, stay with them.
Yeah.
I found when we were youth leaders when we were first married, and we found that basically for the first year, the kids hardly talked to us. Because they were like, okay, are you going to really stick around?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after the first year, it's like, okay, that's when you could really build relationships.
Yes.
And it may not be that long.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
But
what we
it
found.
does.
It takes a
It
while
does
for
take
people
time.
to, like, why bother if this person's
Yeah.
going to be gone in 6
Yeah.
months?
And you can see the effect on the groups when just because of circumstances, leaders can't be there or they end up leaving. The groups that they aren't as committed to the group as a whole because they
it's
don't
true.
have a leader following up with
Yeah.
them or showing up and being there. So
Yeah.
So what if it's a young married couple with a kid? Could they be a leader?
Sure. I think here's my frustration a lot of times. I mean, we have a phenomenal team. I mean, I've been now with this team for the last number of weeks here, watching them in action with the retreat and all that, our campus live nights and all that kind of stuff. Phenomenal. I mean, we are blessed to have these folks in. But I do find it sometimes difficult to recognize that we have, our greatest resource is our kids. Like, this is our most valuable, most treasured resource. And if all of our leaders are 20-something, they have the least life experience. So it would be greater to have, and I think what's happened, I think sometimes in a...
Value
really
for the old
wise,
people.
Annie.
There's value for the middle-aged
That's
people.
right, there is value here.
I'm taking
We're
that.
Vintage is in. Believe me. But the point is that I think there's those 30-somethings, those 40-somethings,
Yeah.
50-somethings, 60-somethings, whatever. They have value for students. Students aren't near as critical as I think we think they are. Oh, you're not young. You don't. No, that's not it.
No.
They take people at face value just as much as they want to be taken at face value. So, but I think our 30, 40s, and 50-year-olds, I can't.
Not
I
gonna
can't.
connect with that
I
youth
can't.
anymore,
Oh no,
yeah.
that never worked. No. But I'm thinking, no, that's not the case at all. So, what are we looking for? Obviously, we look for volunteers who love the Lord
Yep.
and love teens, and are willing to be part of a team that wants to make an impact in teenagers' lives. Week by week, moment by moment. This is all about investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
How can, so that's leaders, how can parents support the youth program? What are ways that you'd like to see parents involved?
Well, I think for me personally, as a youth pastor who's been there for years and years, I value conversations with parents. And the door is open, I mean, obviously to meet and to encourage, because I know parents are in this time of life where, they don't have all the answers for raising teenagers either, just as much as we don't have all the answers for raising teenagers. But I think together we can work this out and be partners in this, and we want to come alongside and support parents. And so we're going to have opportunities throughout the year where we're going to do training things and invest into parents as well. So we'll keep parents notified of that. But I think, times to pray, obviously, if parents want to and should pray, we want to pray for our students, we want to pray for our leaders, and so we'll have opportunities for that as that comes along. But also, parents can help, and I know Analea's got a number of parents working in the food stuff right now. Just, hey, we're in,
So if someone wants to volunteer and just come
Yeah.
once a month to do that,
Yeah.
they can do it. And
There's
just kind of see where their
opportunities to be
kids are.
involved.
And
And we have like host homes, and I mean, this has got to be an intergenerational thing. I want these students to recognize that, one of the transitional issues that we have in youth ministry is that teens have not had enough intergenerational
yeah.
aspect to their lives. And so the more they see moms and dads involved, the more they see grandparents or uncles and aunts or whatever it takes, they're saying that these parents, these older adults are important to me. And that's who I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with in the
Great.
church once I'm done with high school. Like,
Yeah.
this is who we will be with. And high school is that odd time, like it's very age specific, but once we're done with that, boom, we're in with adults. So it'd be nice to get them
Connect with
involved
those people.
earlier than later.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think, there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
But I think what we want to have is make sure that if we need to have conversations, let's talk. If they've got issues with kids that, hey, my kids can't come, I'd love to talk to them. All of these individuals would love to talk with kids who are struggling getting in. Because I know what that's like. I mean, I've sat down with kids and say, hey, you just got to come. I mean, it's a personal invite, you know, and that's what we want to do. It is always one student at a time.
Yeah.
You know.
You have an email information update, right?
The
What-
newsletter.
Newsletter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some parents don't always know
Yeah.
where to get information from.
You can sign up for that two ways. We've got a form on the website under the Northview Abbotsford High School section.
Yeah.
And there's also a tab on the Facebook page, the Northview High School Youth Facebook page, where you can sign up to get these emails. They go out usually on Tuesdays, morning or afternoon, and they just have all the information for that week, that coming Thursday, and as well as like the next 4 or 5 events that are going on. So
Does Andrew have the same permission? Do you know?
he does the
He'd
same.
be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Email, yeah.
You can access it
Both
both ways
campuses.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just under mission instead of
Yeah.
Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, Ron, we are out of time. Can you pray? Would you mind
Absolutely.
praying for the youth
I
program
would
and
love
the
to.
youth that are part of your program?
Father, I'm thankful today for the opportunity to be called into youth ministry, just as these people around me are also in youth ministry and called. And we realize it's a tremendous privilege, it's a tremendous responsibility, and we do this for your honor, for your glory. And so we pray for these students, one name at a time, one face at a time, one story at a time, that they would be able to connect with the various youth ministries that happen here at Northview and at Mission and at Abbotsford. And so I pray for parents to be encouraged and to be blessed and to feel like they belong here as well. And so we ask for you to draw them to yourself, and Lord, to use the youth ministry to do that as well. We want to see kids come to know Christ, to be faithful followers of Christ, to be integrated with adult leaders who love them dearly and will show the way to Christ. And so we give this to you, God, knowing that this all belongs to you, and we're thankful in Christ's name. Amen.
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 Thank you so much for joining in.